Some bright morning when this life is over, I'll fly away to that home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by.
I actually worked at Krupp Mail Order from about 1980, I would say, until 1984. You know, I've had a lot of jobs over the years, and you have a relationship like employer, employee. But with Tyler and Terry, it became a friendship, which was really great, you know. And like I say, I'm a stand-up comic. I actually worked at Krupp before I started doing stand-up comedy. And then I got married in 1985. Terry and Tyler came to my wedding. I got divorced in 1996, and they didn't show up to the divorce, but I didn't expect them to. But over the years, Tyler and Terry both became interested in my comedy career, and I've been doing it a long time, since probably about 1982 or something like that. And so they would come to a lot of my comedy shows. They came to see me. Ironically, my ex-wife lives in Trinidad now, and I did a comedy festival in Trinidad, Colorado, about 2 years ago. And while I was looking over my shoulder, because I wasn't really all that anxious to see my ex-wife, Terry and Tyler came, and that was great to have a friendly face, a couple of friendly faces there. Now, like I say, they've come to a lot of shows, and I want to, you know, I said I'm a stand-up comic, and hopefully this will prove it to you. I'd like to do one of Tyler's favorite jokes of mine that I did at the Dairy Center when they came to see me, and that joke is this. This woman just asked if my hair was natural, and I'm like, where the heck would you go to get your hair done like this, you know? She said PetSmart, and that stung a little bit, but she was right, because it's a heck of a deal. And I got a flea bath. So, now, you might ask, oh, what's with the acorn? And early in Terry and Tyler's meeting, he told her when he died he wanted an acorn placed in his navel so that a tree could grow. And she never forgot that and wanted to share his wish and unique look at life with all of you. So you can place the acorn near Tyler's ashes over here at the shrine table or take it home with you. I just want to say, let us remember why we are here. June 17th, 2021, in Navajo Country, Arizona, an accident happened that forever changed two families, the deaths of Tyler Lantzy and Cyrus Martin. So let us honor them now with a moment of silence. And now I would like to ask you to please join me in reading the acceptance prayer found in your program. You waited until you were alone. Death is a private thing. You knew your last act was to a different audience. As it entered you, oh, how you must have danced, curving towards God, elegant and alone. Birth, you say, your voice swathed in wings. I am born in the endless beginning. I am not, I am. You start turning into us, we who love you. You weep in our sadness. You laugh when we do. You greet each moment fresh when we do. So may the gift of loving enter your own and be with us that way forever. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Tyler and I were roommates at Notre Dame all 4 years. Some know me as Mugger. I won't go into why.
Sure.
So Tyler and Terry joined a group of us in Northern California a few years ago for a folk festival named after Kate Wolf, who was a singer-songwriter in Northern California who died young. And this is the Kate Wolf song that I would really like. Kind friends all gathered round. There's something I would say. What brings us together here has blessed us all today. Love has made a circle that holds us all inside, where strangers are as family and loneliness can't hide. Give yourself to love. Love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. I've walked these mountains in the rain. I learned to love the wind. Been up before sunrise to watch the day begin. Always knew I'd find you, though I never did know how. But like sunshine on a cloudy day, you stand before me now. So give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Love is born in fire and planted like a seed. Love can't give you everything, but it gives you what you need. Love comes when you're ready. Love comes when you're afraid. It'll be your greatest teacher, the best friend you have made. If you give yourself to love, love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. You must give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love.
We are going to have some speakers. I think we have 5 speakers who are each going to talk, and they're going to introduce themselves to you and just hand the mic. Maybe we can get the stand back over. That'd be good. But one of the speakers, the first speaker, Pat, told me that Tyler really enjoyed Steve Martin and saw him 4 or 5 times, and asked me if I would wear this arrow through my. And I told him no at first because I spent a lot of time at PetSmart getting this together, but yeah, that probably helps the look, doesn't it? All right. Okay, so I think we're ready for our first speaker.
Give yourself to love. Love is what we're after, right? Thanks, Margaret and Jerry. That was wonderful. My name is Pat Duty. My wife Laurel and I live in Seattle. We have known Terry and Tyler for more than 50 years. In fact, we can legitimately claim that we introduced Terry and Tyler. Oh, we have so many stories. It was 54 years ago this week that I met Tyler. I came to Notre Dame with a whole handful of classmates of mine from my high school and my best friend. Came to Notre Dame with a guy that I met when I was 4 years old. We lived on the same block. We went to grammar school together. We went to high school together. We went to Notre Dame together. His name is Mugger. Mugger and I were assigned to Keenan Hall at Notre Dame. So I've been at Notre Dame now for 2 hours. I've unloaded the car with the help of my parents and my younger brother. Made a tearful goodbye to my parents, who moved all the way back to Chicago, which was 90 miles away. And then I made a beeline for the 3rd floor of Keenan Hall, because that's where Mugger was. I didn't know exactly what room he was in. So it was, you can imagine, first day moving in, there was just boxes and crates and grandparents and parents and little brothers and sisters, and it was real chaos. It was particularly chaotic on the 3rd floor of Keenan Hall, where Mugger's room was, because, among other things, some kid was actually riding his bike up and down the hall. So I finally find Mugger, and we exchanged some pleasantries, and I looked around and I said, his room was exactly like mine. cinder blocks painted a pukey brown and 2 of everything. And so then I said, so what's your roommate like? Where is he? And he goes, well, come on, let's go out in the hall, see if we can find him. So we walk out in the hall, and then I met Tyler. He was riding a unicycle, not a bicycle. He was riding a unicycle up and down the hall. Hi, everybody. I'm Tyler Lantzy from Spangler, Pennsylvania. How you doing? Joseph Tyler Lantzy. Good to meet you. Go Irish. That was my first encounter, my first snapshot of Tyler Lantzy. The first thing I thought was, damn, I had decided to bring my unicycle to Notre Dame after Thanksgiving. So, in thinking about that as my very first visual of Tyler, the next thought I had in putting these thoughts together was Reader's Digest. Of course, there's enough of you here, I think, who know what Reader's Digest is. It used to be the largest selling magazine in the United States for about 30 or 40 years. It still sells around the world, over 40 million copies annually. Reader's Digest had a monthly feature called My Most Unforgettable Character. Every month there was a wonderful story in there about a once-in-a-lifetime person that was that author's My Most Unforgettable Character. Lance, hands down, you're my most unforgettable character. And I would bet that there's a significant minority here, if not majority, of people who might be willing to assign him the same status and the same moniker. Or maybe more of you will come round to that by the end of this day. The more I thought about why was Tyler my most unforgettable character, things became clearer to me. Tyler holds so many of us so close personally. I believe that wasn't a quirk of his personality. I believe that was purposeful and intentional and brilliant. I think that Tyler thought the secret to a complete, satisfying, and happy life was authentic, close, and beaucoup relationships. I believe Tyler knew that before any of us did. I believe Tyler knew that better than any of us ever did. And I know, as far as I'm concerned, he lived it better than any person I've ever known. Does anyone here know anybody that had so many personal, close relationships in so many wide circles? He had bouquets of relationships. There was the immediate family, the extended family, the community that he lived in, his childhood friends, his fishing buddies, his golfing buddies, his biking buddies, his skiing buddies, concert people, music, bouquets of relationships. This has been my biggest lesson from you, Lance, and the one that I can still have you with me as I carry this lesson forward. I can enrich my life, just as you did, by enriching my relationships. But, as with all the things you taught me, Lance, I will still need some occasional tips or reminders or even your insufferable tutorials. So I have just one question for you, Lance. When and how are you coming back? Where can we find you? Let us know, because there's a lot of us here who just aren't done with you yet. I love you, Lance. Thanks for connecting. By the way, I forgot that line. That's what Terry called it. Connectivity. It was Tyler's connectivity. So Lance, thanks for connecting. Thanks for that gift for me and so many of us. Great work. Great life. See you soon.
Hey folks, I'm Mike Dominic. I've known Tyler really well since about 1975 or 76. Met him in his attic, showing black and white clay animation movies, which nobody had ever heard of, and still haven't for the most part. It was quite an event, and they were pretty spectacular, actually. We immediately became really good friends. We did a multitude of things together. We had a lot of firsts. I taught him how to fish. He created the world's largest wind knot while he cast. It was the size of a tumbleweed. He cast it back thinking it was going to unravel as he waved his rod back and forth. He moved on from me up to Montana with Bob Asmuth for weekly summer vacations. It was pretty great. Tyler and I went mountain biking together to Moab for the first time, and he left me basically in the dirt. He was so coordinated and so quick. And Tyler and I bought a condominium in the East Vale Racket Club, 600 square feet of studio space, and we'd pack 6 and 7 people. They'd be lined up on sleeping bags on the floor. That was hilarious. We had that for 10 years. He wasn't a very good skier, actually, at the beginning, but he got better and better as time went on. And then he segued into bump skiing, and then I just didn't want to ski with him anymore. Tyler was known for his wit, and I'll just tell one quick story about that, because it has always amused me. So he's at a restaurant, and he ordered a burrito, and the waiter came out and said, well, do you want this burrito smothered? And Tyler said, I don't care how it's killed as long as it's dead when it gets here. He was a funny guy, I must say. It left a hole in my relationships. Tyler was a key person in my circle of friends, and the loss of Tyler in my life is overwhelming. So here's to Tyler, here's to Jane, here's to Terry. Thank you, Terry. You have the warmest hug of anybody I've ever known. A lady of substance, a field marshal of note, and a lovely person.
My name is Rich Niels. I've known Terry and Tyler for 40 years. Tyler was a great man. Words can't do him justice. But let me just tell you about our last trip together. That trip reflects so many of the qualities that I loved about Tyler. For this trip, Tyler and Bill Halligan, John Portman, and I, we all met at the Wild Rivers Recreation Area in New Mexico. And as was typical, Tyler had it all planned out. Who would arrive when, who would bring what, and who would cook what for dinner on what night. But anyway, Tyler arrived first, and in his Cocoa van, which you can see up there. And he had his pick of the campsites because he got there early. And there was one campsite that was particularly good. It sported a view of the canyon and of the Rio Grande below. And instead of taking that spot for himself, he put out road cones and reserved it for John Portman because he felt that John deserved it because it was John's idea to go to this place in the first place. So, Tyler's enthusiasm for life was embodied in this trip. His fastidious planning, his kind and thoughtful behavior, his upbeat outlook, his deep thinking and constant joking all reflect what an amazing man he was. Rest in peace, dear friend.
On June 17th, at mile marker 332 on State Highway 98 in Arizona, Dad was taken away from all of us in a graphic head-on collision. My mom was also supposed to be on that trip, but didn't end up going because of a broken leg that had happened a few weeks before. Just 2 days before the accident, Dad had sent me an email asking me to check in on my mom. She'd just gotten one of those rolly scooters to help her get around, and his email joked that he was really worried that she'd zoom the damn thing off the deck. Always the comedian, he never missed an opportunity to throw in a one-liner. Gently teasing while always teaching, I felt it important to try and learn as much as possible from my dad. Lessons were everywhere, as long as you knew how and where to look. From tying fishing knots at our fishing ranch in Nederland to teaching patience while learning how to ski. I learned business strategy and ethics, and never to pee into the wind. Over the years, I found there could never be a better mentor than my father. My dad taught me most everything I know. This loss has made me realize that Dad was my rock. Mom, Ross, and I relied on his experience, his courage, his humor, and understanding to get us through the toughest of times. Dad would push us right up to the edge, and then he would act as our safety net when we would fall overboard while trying to look too hard at what was under the boat. Dad's spirit of adventure was contagious. I remember too many weekend adventures to count. Dad would always have the route researched and mapped out ahead of time. I was more than capable of handling the curveballs that the high alpine mountains or the unforgivable desert would throw. It's no surprise that his passions inspire me to this day, as I have chosen the weekly summer chore of dragging Vivi and Teddy deep into the wilderness every chance we get. One of Dad's favorite things was to try and catch the green flash at sunset. The green flash, for those who don't know, is a meteorological optical phenomena that sometimes occurs around the moment of sunrise or sunset. When the conditions are just right, a distinct green spot is briefly visible above the upper rim of the sun's disk. This green appearance usually lasts for no more than 2 seconds. Green flashes occur because the Earth's atmosphere can cause the light from the sun to separate or refract into a billion different colors. Dad sure did love the science behind everything. In 2004, I started a painting business in college. This was the same year that he decided to start Savvy Home, which spawned by trying to sell technology solutions to some of his inept friends who lived in Boulder. And you know who you are. We discussed the possibility of me helping with this endeavor at the time, but his stance was firm that I finish college, specifically to get my ass kicked and learn as much as possible. Through college, I remember weekly conversations with my dad, mostly around marketing strategies and management style, but most importantly was how to treat people right. It sounds cliche, but I learned that honesty and integrity matter more than profitable business decisions. And to really run a successful business, to often look where those two areas are aligned. Back in 2013, I bought Dad out from his Savvy Home ownership. Few fathers and sons get to share the relationship of working together in a family business. I feel lucky to have had the chance. Being a business owner is great, he would say. You get to choose which 80 hours of the week you work. As tough as the workload can be for an entrepreneur, he always made time for family, to seek out the next sunset, the next cast, the next trailhead. He taught me how to compartmentalize and balance my life, a skill that I lean on now more than ever in spite of recent events. In the most recent years, Dad was really enjoying the life he and my mom had created. He would joke that retirement has 3 phases: go-go, slow-go, and no-go. Well, I think everyone can agree with me that no-go arrived too soon. It was tremendous to see how go-go he really was, and how, in a slightly over-curmudgeoning way, he didn't want to take part in the slow-go. No one should ever die doing what you love, but it sure is better than doing something you hate. During a recent trip to Salida with my 4 best friends, Dad popped out of the clouds late one night. It was a moment when I was able to truly say goodbye, just one-on-one. I didn't think I was ready for this, but Dad sure was. This connection was followed by a wave of happiness that I've never before experienced. At that moment, staring up into the moon, I found a new way to communicate with my dad. Instead of waiting until the end of the trip to fill him in on a call and tell him how it went, well, now he's witness to every drop of sweat and every wrong turn, every damn swear word uttered when climbing 4,000 feet on my bike. I've had different thoughts and emotions since the accident, as you can imagine. And for the sake of brevity, I've consolidated my fleeting moments into some common themes that consistently replay in my head. I'll share them with you right now. Number one, life is fucking fragile. Use it. Number two, the spirit lives on. It's the symbolism and the association that matter. And number three, life needs to go on. Do your best. Make other people proud. The energy today is real. I thank you all for coming here and spending this time with us. Well, our presence here is only one more stop on the roller coaster of grief. I ask that you please hug your loved ones. Tell them you love them. Tell them you believe in them. Tell them you're proud of them. And in return, we aim to make you proud. I love you, Dad.
Howdy. My name is Drew Meitzen. My parents are Dave and Donna Meitzen, and my brother is Jeffrey Meitzen. As my father's uncle, Tyler assumed the notable role of my great Uncle Tyler to me and my brother Jeff. And it was a position that he undertook, as he did with all things, with a lot of enthusiasm and commitment. He was often referred to as our fun uncle, or funkle, or our great uncle, grunkle, or if we were short on time, we'd just call him Gut. Great Uncle Tyler. Tyler and Terry are the reason that my parents both moved to Colorado. They moved west from Vermont right out of college, and they were greeted instantly with the embrace of family. I'm told that Tyler lent my dad his 1975 pickup truck to assist in his job search, and then several years later, when my dad worked for Uncle Tyler's company, they ended up carpooling from Boulder to Denver every single day with Tyler so that they could solve the world's computer literacy problems through productivity points. And on one Friday night, on a return trip from Denver, my dad confided solely in Tyler his intention to propose to my mom. Tyler immediately pulled off the road and bought him a bottle of champagne to ensure that the occasion would be properly celebrated. A few years later, somewhat consequently, I appeared on the scene. I'm told I greeted everyone with some immediate health issues, considering my tumultuous introduction to the world. My great aunt Terry supported my mom at Boulder Community Hospital, and my dad rushed me to Children's, and thankfully Tyler was there to save the day entirely. He showed up with a pitcher of Bloody Marys, which would explain why I tend to crave one around my birthday. Thinking back recently on the comedic timing of my great uncle Tyler, I'm reminded of the time he invited us to the fishing ranch in Netherlands, and he taught my brother, my father, and I how to cast. We got ample practice that day because there was not a single bite. Master anglers at this point. After about 5 hours, we decided to throw our hats in, even though it was a pond stocked entirely with trout. It proved too difficult. The last restaurant that was open in Nederland, Colorado at 9 p.m. was called The Mine Shaft. And surprisingly, we were the only patrons ordering from the kitchen any sort of food at that time. So we weren't served our burgers, however you might call them, until 9:45. And once we got them, everyone was stunned by how delicious the bar food really was, to which Tyler retorted, "It helps to be hungry." Which is a punchline that is very, very frequently quoted now. Tyler was there in so many ways for my brother and I. He was our friend, our mentor, our ski buddy, a fishing instructor, math teacher, a magician of sorts, a model builder, travel guide, sports enthusiast, grill master, roast beast aficionado, an audiophile, a mountain bike instructor, a creator, an animated film critic, and in short, one of the coolest uncles you could ever possibly ask for. He was a patriarch in our family, and he really ensured that my brother and I were instilled with a love for nature and appreciation for all life's gifts, knowing never to take yourself too seriously. And now I would like to read a prayer from the Navajo Nation that was selected for my great Aunt Terry. I believe it's in the pamphlets here. In beauty, I walk. With beauty before me, I walk. With beauty behind me, I walk. With beauty above me, I walk. With beauty around me, I walk. It has become beauty again. Today, I will walk out. Today, everything negative will leave me. I will be as I was before. I will have a cool breeze over my body. I will have a light body. I will be happy forever, and nothing will hinder me. I walk with beauty before me. I walk with beauty behind me. I walk with beauty below me. I walk with beauty above me. I will walk with beauty all around me. My words will be beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you to all the speakers, and can we have another round of applause for everyone who spoke, please? Jerry and Mike are going to do another song. There were a couple things that I wanted to mention. Gavin mentioned the green flash, and I've been seeing green flashes for years, and I never knew what they were, so I thought it was something I did in the 70s. And then also Terry and I talked about Tylerisms, and a lot of speakers used Tylerisms. I just wanted to share a couple other ones. No one moves to the mountains to further their career. Start each day with a success, no matter how small. And that really applied to me today because I got a comb through here. So, all right, now, while Jerry and Mike are leading us in song, a toast glass is being passed to each of you. And at the end of the song, we're going to toast Tyler and tip our hats high in the air as a send-off for him. He has graduated. So let's hear it again for Mike and Jerry, everybody.
Some bright morning when this life is over, I'll fly away to that home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. When the shadows of this life have gone, I'll fly away. Like a bird from these prison walls I'll fly. I'll fly away. Oh, how glad and happy when we meet. I'll fly away. No more cold iron shackles on my feet. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by.